Howdy Earthlings! Before you watch this video, I need to make sure that you're a real fan. I've heard there's fake fans disguising themselves as real fans to infiltrate spaces where the real fans are, so before you start watching, I need you to comment what animal I first made YouTube videos as. Should be pretty easy if you're a real fan. If you're not a real Sarah's Things fan, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. After you watch the rest of this video and like it, of course. I still gotta make my money. Anyway, video game in the background because I'm overworked, so I don't have time to edit much these days. I started a job and now that someone can cover everyone's shifts, everyone is taking time off. The game is Luna Abyss. I was sent a key by the devs but didn't see it until after the studio shut down. Sorry that happened, but you should be happy to know that your game is pretty cool. Howdy for real Earthlings. You probably heard the term LARPer thrown around a bit. Even your elderliness, me, has heard it. I was playing Magic the Gathering with a bunch of other older people when my friend quotes a Magic short saying, "When the Magic LARPer says something so artifact based you have to hit them with the ramp stare," which is cloaked in so many levels of code I needed to Google just about every word in it. It's not uncommon for my MTG group to throw out hip phrases that the youngins are using. I've heard 6-7 more at Magic Night than anywhere else, probably because the game is essentially just about numbers. So what the heck is a LARPer? A LARPer is a person who is a poser, someone who wants to be associated with the fandom without ever having to spend more than the bare minimum of time with the media. Someone who says that they're a fan, but has only engaged with the most popular forms of that media. It's considered cringe, which is kind of funny because being a super fan is considered cringe too, or it was considered cringe. So you can be cringe at all levels of enjoyment now. The term LARPer comes from live action roleplay, where people will dress as medieval folks and engage in pretend warfare. Basically, it's used as a term to gatekeep interest in a product or media. There is some legitimacy to the term, all words have a root, but I think it's been overblown and it's overused now and it kind of lost all meaning, as many words do when they're overused. When I was a kid, I was bullied for being a nerd and people would beat me up for it. Then a cultural shift happened in that it was cool to be a nerd, probably because of the rise of tech and the increased need for tech literacy to survive the modern era. A similar thing happened again in a yet shorter window of time thanks to the speed at which the internet moves. 10 years ago, someone who likes anime, role-playing as anime characters, video games, and nerd culture was deemed cringe and uncool. Now the internet and recommendation algorithms are really good at recommending things it thinks you'd like long before you even know you like it. If you have even a normal, healthy level of interest in something, you'll see all sides of that fandom, regardless of whether you want to on TikTok. You'll see fans cringe and even manufactured cringe. My hero fans know exactly what I'm talking about. But the search for the posers has always been a never-ending quest. Everyone is afraid of their in-groups being infiltrated by fake fans and having their experience ruined. As a furry, gamer, TCG player, anime liker, I've seen a lot of my fair share of posers, and a lot of the time, they aren't actually posers. They're more often just socially awkward people who lack the ability to tell when they're being weird or uncomfortable. They make up for their knowledge with enthusiasm and will often do cringe things, making the rest of the fandom look bad. But even LARPing is the first steps towards taking a genuine interest in a fandom. A poser is more often a case of the Dunning-Kruger effect. This is the phenomena where a person overestimates their knowledge and ability in the early stages of learning about something new. Then as they expose themselves more to the thing, they learn just how little they know and become more humble about their knowledge of the subject. Once again, as they continue to learn, they get up out of that valley and once again become more confident in the subject, usually to a lesser degree than when they just learned about the thing. So LARPers are at the peak of Dunning-Kruger and are about to be humbled when they realize that they aren't the fans they thought they were, and either they fall off or double down and develop a genuine respect and interest. LARPer is gatekeeping and will only hurt your community as it discourages people from ever entering the learning phase of your group. By protecting your in-group, you're actually preventing it from ever expanding. LARPers aren't often pretenders, fakers, or posers. They're people with a genuine interest in your interest, but for some reason lack the time, effort, or resources to become fully immersed in the fandom. You can rip on them or take this as an opportunity to expand your friend circle by being kind and mentoring this new fanlet and welcoming them into your fold. Or you can keep being a dick and just stick with your small group of mean, cynical assholes. That's fine too. Sure, they might be cringe, but there is an argument to the idea that everyone is cringe. If it's cringe to enjoy something, then we are all cringe. It's better to drop these notions of true fans and fake fans and instead see this as an opportunity to share our interests and help it grow. If you're a real fan, you would want your fandom to grow. Here's an example of what I mean. A few examples, actually. Me and my wife Blythe played Magic the Gathering together when we first started dating. We went to a pre-release. This is an event where you can buy in and you get some booster packs for a newly released set. You build a deck, and then you go and play with other people and earn prizes. Me and Blythe were playing Two-Headed Giant against other people and have a genuine and serious interest in Magic, as you can tell by us still playing Magic almost a decade later. We got put up against a guy and his wife. His wife had no interest in Magic and she didn't take any of her own turns. Instead, the husband would look at her hand and tell her what to play. Obviously, I don't have to tell you why this sucks. It was clear the guy was just good at Magic and wanted some wins to get some packs off couples who were playing together earnestly. His wife will likely never get to experience the game as it's intended. She is being denied access to an actually fun hobby and experience because the hardcore superfan wanted to win some packs off some noobs. Fast forward to modern times, I'm playing Commander with a couple. The girlfriend is very new, and I see them working together, and immediately I think, oh boy, where have I seen this before? Thankfully, it's just Commander night and there aren't any prizes at stake, but I ask about the decks they brought, and he built them all, and he said he was just teaching her how to play. That's fine. I think Commander is probably the worst way to learn Magic because a new player is being exposed to 30 years worth of mechanics in a single night. If you're a Magic fan, you know what I'm talking about. If she played Standard instead, she could start small and work her way up. We continued though. After a while, I noticed some of the same patterns. She rarely played for herself. Even months later, she was still asking him what to do nearly every turn. Then when he goes to attack, he says, I can't attack her or she won't let me hit. I thought it was just a really bad off-color joke at first, but week after week, I saw him doing stuff no other player would let happen, letting her hit him with weak monsters so she could activate powerful triggers, and every game where she didn't die first, she'd win the game. I finally decided to ask him about why he didn't block the 1/1, and I said it didn't make sense as a move, and he just shrugged and gave me something along the lines of, it is what it is. This again only upsets me. Not because I think she's a LARPer, but because she has a real chance to enjoy this game if she was allowed to. Instead, it seems like she can only enjoy the game if she wins, so I beat her that game. Then her boyfriend, and the game ends. I haven't seen them come back in a couple of months. In Commander, it's okay to work as a team as long as the team making is done at the table. Usually it's frowned upon or considered cheating if you decide to team up before even showing up to the game. I had been discussing the two with a couple of other players and friends, and they all felt pretty similar. He was denying her a real chance to be a fan of the game, and that she can't lose without being mad shows that there are deeper relationship issues that we can't do anything about. And obviously, this is way too awkward to talk to them in person about, so I'm just kind of hoping that if they see the video, they get the hint and that it doesn't turn into a thing. But, you know, maybe I'm small enough that they'll never see it. One more story. Shortly after meeting these two, I ran into another couple. I thought they were both really good at the game, and they are. But one actually knows less about Magic than the other, and the other is really, really good at Magic. One builds all the decks again, and seemingly the other gets to pretend that they're good at Magic. The same thing happens. If the newer player survives, they win. Games like this where couples team are just annoying because before even our first game, I told Blythe and Connie that we can't team on people. We have to politic our way into it over the course of the game. It's bad etiquette otherwise. Well, one night it comes down to me and the couple, and I'm about to beat the new player and come in second. The older player, after doing nothing all game, finally starts interacting with the board. They destroy my only monster and prevent me from beating their partner and coming in second. She was going to win regardless, because I would have been tapped out on creatures and mana. If you don't play Magic, this is when all your resources are expended so you can't play anything. She would have won because I would have been entirely open after the fact. Instead, she denies me second place in order to preserve her BF's feelings. That's the only reason I can think of why she would do it. Because I lost my cool and asked her about it, which I was definitely embarrassed about and apologized for later. I asked her why she did that, and I accused her of just trying to choose who comes second, and even her BF says it's a little weird that she would make that play, and it said that she didn't need to do that. There is no benefit or reason for her to do that, because she would take first regardless. She hits me with the "it is what it is," and we continue. I jump ship for the first game that isn't with them. She follows me over and the BF stays at the other table. We had a pretty good couple of games after that. Unfortunately, the BF doesn't, and in the parking lot, Blythe overhears them. The BF was upset because Blythe played a theft deck, and that apparently is one of his pet peeves, and the GF says, yeah, I had a problem with that pod when I first met them too, implying that Blythe and Connie team up, because I wasn't there for the first night that they played together. The reality is that Blythe and Connie know they can't ignore people in a game like Commander. I taught them very directly. I made sure to take the time to teach them how to play, and we took it slow. We started with standards and jumpstart decks, and then I taught them how to play Commander afterwards. So they were very familiar with Commander even before their first night of playing. They know that you can't ignore people in a game like Commander. Eventually they build up what they need to win, and they've expended the least amount of resources to do so. Those two play against each other all the time. Well, the three of us us play with each other all the time. So we know what to look out for in each other's decks. So I can totally see why they think that they would team when it's more likely that they both went for the player that they don't know anything about. You know, a fear of the unknown. And Blythe and Connie told me similar, that it might look like they team because they both go for people that they haven't played with before because they don't know what's in their deck, and they don't know what point that they're supposed to interact with to prevent them from popping off. But they don't fight each other as often because they know what to look out for and when to, you know, interact with the other player's board. These stories are relevant because I've heard all of these people referred to as posers in some regard. In the first story, the wife was clearly not interested, and the guy knew he'd only get one night of games with her, so he wanted to win as much as possible. She could have become a real fan if they tried to have fun first. The second one, she was looking to spend more time with her BF and thought she'd try his hobby. Commander looks like it's fun, and it can be, but boy is it hard to get to that point. She gets in over her head, and rather than teach her, the BF ends up doing the majority for her and even setting her up for wins. He plays aggressively in the beginning, so he's targeted, giving her a chance to build up resources and execute the win. He intentionally lets her get triggers off of him, and these two are just different from the last one. The two could seriously enjoy Magic given the proper time needed to get them to stand on their own, but people just want to get into Commander as fast as possible and don't want to take the time to learn the game first. The last one, well, they're both just really good at the game. The BF is newer, but he's actually been playing longer than Blythe and Connie, and I've heard people call him a LARPer or along the lines of that at the store. But the reality is he's just a busy dude with a job. He's someone who likely doesn't have the time to do all the deck building. He definitely understands the game and plays well, but the theft decks he hates, he avoids bad play experiences instead of writing them out and learning how to work with them and deal with them. Like people who hate mill, not realizing that mill decks are actually weak because they don't have good creatures to take hits. A theft deck has similar problems. With removal and patience, you'll eventually break through. Theft decks tend to do bad against token decks because there are too many creatures to take, and alone, all of the creatures suck. But they're there to have fun. So I don't blame them for scooping or having a problem with it the moment the game's not fun anymore. I definitely wouldn't call him a poser or a LARPer. He clearly has a genuine interest, just not the time or resources to no-life it like me and many of the others at the game store do. I guess the moral of the story is, LARPer is a dumb and reductive term. Rather than about someone pretending to enjoy your hobby, you should be happy that someone thinks your hobby is interesting enough to pretend to enjoy. Support them, and maybe that surface level interest will turn into a genuine respect for the media. But, I mean, even this take I'm having is surface level. You could say I'm LARPing about LARPers. I didn't even mention how LARPers impact my favorite hobbies like retro gaming, how people will pretend they're original fans of a thing and then start spending on GameCube games they'll never play, artificially jacking up the price, or game collectors who buy stuff to show off rather than to enjoy. I'd be willing to make the argument that people who pirate their games are more of fans than people who buy them and never play them. Or I could talk about the people getting into emo or scene but were never there in the OOs when the culture hit its original boom. Either way, thank you all for watching, and thanks to the supporters here on YouTube and Patreon like Luis Fernando, Splackjack, Ilwez, Alter Ego, Nightmare Buna, Freya Games, Gezero, Asteria, Nevazi, Aspirin Artist, Paper, Fate Penguin, Momentary Unicorn, Nat, Marius, Worm Syrup, Rask, Beef, Vaderson, Linky, Addy14, Rask again, Willie Pete, TG Dante, Linky again, and Malding Prick. I'll see you all later. I recently got super into garden gnomes, and I have to brush up on my nomenclature before I get called a LARPer. Bye!